Okay, so let's start really basic here and talk about the different categories of real estate assets that exist. So, most basically, we have land. Okay, so this is raw land. And by raw land, what we mean is land that has not been developed. Land can also have uh, be in different stages of development. For example, you may have a plot of land that has some basic infrastructure, such as electricity. It's connected to the water supply from whatever municipality there is. Um, it can have road access, but really it nothing of substantial use has been built on it. That's kind of what we define as land. Now, in the context of land kind of outside of a city or a community, you can have pasture land, you can have land that's used for mining or oil drilling. So, land is kind of the basic unit of real estate. Most of the land we're going to be talking about in this class is kind of going to be used not for kind of extractive purposes like a mine or an oil well, etc. It's going to be used in the context of like a human community. So either for living in or for other commercial uses. Okay, so that kind of gets us to the next point here is residential real estate. So residential real estate refers to where people live. So this is going to be things like houses, single family homes are basically uh, a type of residential property where a parcel of land only has the housing unit for like one single family, as it's called. Multifamily residential is like an apartment building where on one parcel of land there is built housing for many different households. But this is all considered residential real estate. Um, Multifamily is treated actually like the next category, commercial real estate. Um, because the kind of the mortgage financing, the way that these things are operated, it's more of a business. So it's considered commercial real estate, but really the use of it is for people to live in. So like an apartment building, it may have 150 units. It is technically residential real estate, but for the purposes of like investors or a bank, they're going to kind of treat it as commercial real estate. So let's talk about some of the other types of commercial real estate that exist. So there's industrial. So these are factories, chemical plants. Now with the internet, in the last you know, 25 years, you can say the internet has become a actually a big use of real estate because all the data centers that are required to kind of keep the infrastructure going are it's a very kind of intense use of real estate. Research and development facilities. So these are all examples of industrial uses. Warehouse space. This is just a place to store things. So this can be temperature controlled. For example, for food storage, there are warehouses that are refrigerated. Um, Amazon, for example, those goods don't necessarily need to be like refrigerated, so they just have kind of open warehouse space. So this is just again where goods are stored before they're kind of distributed to their end use. Office space is where businesses have their kind of corporate offices, or it's where uh, businesses house their operations and their employees. Retail. So there's different types of retail property. Retail is where you go to shop, essentially. Okay, so there are indoor malls. These are becoming less common. As time has gone on, they've kind of fallen out of fashion, and the malls used to be very popular to go shopping at. Now, with the rise of e-commerce and shopping online, and just different trends in kind of where people want to be socially, etc., indoor malls are still popular, but really the lower end ones or the less desirable ones or the ones that don't have the stores that people want to go to have kind of died out, and it's it's consolidating. Okay. Um, Outdoor strip malls. Okay, so this is like where you would find like a Ross or a TJ Maxx or those types of stores where it's outdoors. You walk between, even like a Safeway shopping center. The Safeway is going to be there, and then it's going to have a bunch of other businesses around. So that's outdoor kind of strip retail. And then you just have just like you know s- kind of standalone storefronts, where you'll have like a couple, like maybe three small businesses right next to each other off of like a main road. So these are all considered retail property. Agricultural. So there's many agricultural uses for growing food, pasture, dairy cows, kind of where feedlots. So these are all agricultural uses. Hospitality. So this is hotels. Okay, resorts. This is a hospitality use. Healthcare. So this is where we build hospitals, medical offices. These are all related to the healthcare sector and kind of supporting that industry. And there's self-storage. So this is like where you basically rent a little spot and you can store all your extra stuff there. So this is a very popular kind of commercial real estate asset that people invest in because you basically don't have any of the hassles of residential real estate dealing with tenants, fixing things when they break. It's a very simple kind of structure you put up, and then people will pay you rent essentially just to rent that little spot out. So, as an investment, self storage is become pretty popular. There's a lot of them that got built, so maybe um, not as great of an investment now because as you build more units of self storage, in order to attract people to your particular unit, you got to maybe lower the rents. So the rents maybe have been dropping for self storage, um, but it's still probably for the right asset in the right location. It's probably a pretty good investment still. Um, and then finally, we have special purpose real estate. So these are properties that have very specific and unique functions, such as schools, churches, cemeteries. The government is a pretty big kind of landlord or property owner or renter in many cases of these special purpose real estate assets. Um, they usually provide some essential service to the community. And again, since many of them are kind of not for commercial purposes, they're usually involving the government sector in some way or another and are usually regulated. So, like a school, for example, um, is owned by uh, a government entity and is regulated as such. This is just a very high level overview of these different categories. We're going to spend a lot of time going into the details of residential real estate and commercial real estate in future modules. But again, this module, this opening kind of introductory presentation is just to give you a sense of the spectrum of real estate assets that exist. And again, we're going to dive much deeper into these and explore the different details about them.